6:40. Joining me, I have our Vice Chair, City Councilor Stephanie Infante, and City Councilor Stella Reyes, and myself as the Chair, Pavel Payano. Before we begin, I'll read the following. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of the Personnel Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. I'll remind you that persons that would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress can either attend here at the City Council chambers or can log on to our Facebook or YouTube page. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilors, we have minutes for approval.
What is,
June 28th.
so moved.
There's a motion to approve the minutes of June 28th. It's been seconded by Councilor Infante. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Councilors, could I get a motion to take item 114-22 out of tabled matters?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is the motion to take item 114-22, appointment of Marlene Ferrer to the position of voting member for the Lawrence Planning Board? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mr. McCarthy, would you like to come up?
Thank you, board members. I appreciate this. We're here on a tabled matter, document 114. Ms. Farrell was before the board, before this committee about a month ago, and I think there was a tie 2-2 vote on whether to send this up without a recommendation or with a negative recommendation. So there was no recommendation made. We asked that it be tabled, and we sent a letter to the State Commission for Ethics, for the Attorney General's office, with the explanation of the situation. We have a returned decision. You should have a copy of that. And the ethics, state ethics said there was no conflict of interest. The fact that she is both an employee for the city and she'll be doing a voluntary unpaid position with the board, as long as she filled out the disclosure statement and gave a copy of that to the chief officer of the city, which is in this case is the mayor. So she has done all the requirements the AG's office has requested of her, and we're asking that she be sent up with a favorable recommendation to the full commission.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Councilors, are there any questions?
No, because she was in front of us and all the
Yes.
questions. Thank you, Councilor Payano. No, she was in front of us. Yeah, like a month ago, all the question has been asked, and thank you. The only thing I can say is I know for many constituents that has been requesting to have a meeting, and just because they don't have the body to have the quorum, they've been postponing, and this is a well-needed position.
Any other councilors? Councilor Infante?
We're following rules. There's no conflict of interest. Like, if we would have had this sooner, I think we would have, the job already would have been, So just for the future.
Thank you.
Seeing as there's no other questions, is there a motion?
Motion to send it with favorable recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion to send it to the full council with favorable recommendation. It's been seconded by Councilor Infante. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you very much. I
Yes,
appreciate this.
Thank you. Okay, moving us to the top of the agenda. Item 227-22, request to post, advertise, and fill position of Director of the Office of Planning and Development, Personnel Director Ginela Greca.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you so much for your time tonight. This is a position that has been vacant for over 6 months, so I am seeking your permission to post and advertise and ultimately fill it. There have been no changes made to the position, just for your
Councilors, are there
awareness.
any questions? Infante, no questions? If there's no questions, is there a motion?
Motion to send it with favor recommendation.
So the motion is sent to the full council for
Second.
recommendation has been seconded by Councilor Infante. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now move on to the next item, 232-22, Program Director position ordinance being put in by Director Armano.
Good evening, councilors. Director Mike Amano, Inspectional Services. I come before you tonight for item 23222. This is a program director position that we're looking to make part of the ordinance. The summary basically is the City of Lawrence, through a shared services grant and through a grant through the AmeriCorps, has an AmeriCorps public health program with the City of Methuen. The program coordinator is a position that we don't have, program director, to coordinate this grant program. They will be supervising, recruiting, supporting the services of AmeriCorps members who will be starting sometime in the fall. And this position, again, it's not something we have in the ordinance today. We needed it for this program and maybe hopefully more in the future. And it is a position that would be appointed by the mayor, work under the general supervision of the mayor through inspectional services and the public health department.
Councilors, any questions? Councilor Reyes?
Thank you, Councilor Chair. So it's a program director, so there has never been that position, right?
Correct.
So, and can you explain a little bit more what the position is going to be covered? What are they going to be doing beside what you just said?
Sure.
So a little bit more open to it.
Sure. So the AmeriCorps program, which a nationally known program, has developed a program just for public health. I believe it's new this year, and it allowed the City of Lawrence, with a shared services agreement with the City of Methuen, to recruit 12 members of AmeriCorps to do public health initiatives, which is a pretty wide scope, including healthy housing, sending resources to different members of the community. So this position would be in charge of managing that grant, basically collecting data, doing data analysis, making sure that everyone was on track to do what we said we were going to do in that grant, lead these members to get out into our community, deliver materials, help them with training, which is also part of the grant, that type of thing.
Director Romano, I have a few questions. Starting with Section A, so it says, "and shall work under the general direction of mayor." What does that mean?
Well, public health in the City of Lawrence, as we all know, it's a combination of several different departments, including inspectional services, which does a lot of the environmental health and clinical health, the Mayor's Health Task Force that does a lot of education and health and human services as well. This position, these are public health AmeriCorps members, and we anticipate that they will be helping all of these departments in many different tasks, getting education resources out. So we didn't want to put it under the supervision of just one department, where it does have that same wide scope that public health does in our city.
So how is this different? I mean, everybody is under the general direction of the mayor, so how is this different?
No real difference, just the language we chose for it. The budget for public health is in inspectional services, which is why this position sort of sits in inspectional services.
Who would be this person's supervisor?
The supervisor, ultimately, they would be running their own program, but if the mayor had wanted to focus on a certain initiative with resources, then he would have the authority to do that, of course.
So the person's supervisor would be the mayor?
Yeah.
So then why would we put this under inspectional services?
The budget is, for public health, is in inspectional services, so they would work hand in hand with inspectors. They may be seated in inspectional services, working with all of our inspectors. They will be training, doing some of the same training, healthy homes training, lead determination, perhaps, things like that. So they would be, again, probably mostly with inspectional services, but there is a large influence with the Mayor's Health Task Force and Health and Human Services as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's understood. I mean, I think that I like the direction we were going. I remember like 3 or 4 years ago, us just having a similar discussion and about the need of having a position that is more focused on public health. I just, I'm trying to understand how this would work exactly, because normally if you have somebody that's under a certain department, the director of special services or director, whatever department would be that individual supervisor. If not, then it would be essentially creating a whole separate department. I think that I think everybody's under the general direction of the mayor. If the mayor says to anybody like, hey, I want to do X, Y, Z, I mean, everyone, jumps, to do something like that. So I'm trying to understand more on how that piece would work. My next question is around qualifications. You mentioned public health, but you also mentioned or social science. So can you talk to me more about like what social science masters are you looking at?
What social science? I think it's a wide scope, but the bottom line is, as you know, the connection between our social determinants in the city and just the social vulnerabilities that we have are so closely connected to both physical and mental health. And we wanted to allow the possibility of maybe we don't get someone with a master's in public health, or maybe it's a certain focus that they have, but open up the possibility that someone might have a psychology background or something that's appropriate, with mental health services.
Would it be possible to have like specifics, like the specific degrees that you're looking at? Social science just seems very broad. So, for example, a master's in, I mean, I don't know if this is a major, but I know like in focus on like women's studies. I mean, technically sort of fall. Like, I think I hear what you guys are going, and I wonder if there's more specificity can be done as far as that qualification. My view is that you would want somebody that is more focused on public health than anything, but I understand why you want to cast a wider net. My next question is about salary. So it sounds like you guys years experience at the 60, 70,000?
Yeah, we're really hoping, but it's a challenge that we acknowledge may be difficult. And basically what happens is when we create these positions, they get graded by our personnel director, and there's a very strict guidelines that are used, and I can't tell you all the details, but I'm sure Attorney LaGreca could tell you more. But that defines what the salary is. Do you want to, if you...
So in 2005, the city adopted the Behringer scale, which is still used to this day, and it just outlines the certain processes by which the personnel department evaluates the creation of new positions, and they use a scoring method, which is kept confidential for good reason, just so that positions are not designed based on a salary. More the salary actually just comes back around to fit the position. So I use that scoring system in this case based on numerous factors, including the supervisory responsibilities, the size of the workforce, the consequences that this position would face if they were to have some kind of error. And those things are attached in a grading sheet, which is used traditionally when I do the salary information for these new non-union positions, and this landed at a grade 5, which is actually on par with the other positions in grade 5, which you'll see in the non-union salary chart, which is also provided to Director Armano, and I think you may have before you.
I think my question for it is just I think it'd be hard finding someone 3 to 5 years experience at the 60 to 70,000 level. I think nowadays somebody with both a master's degree in public health and 3-4 years experience, never mind 5, you're looking at 75,000 plus.
Well, I certainly agree with you. Unfortunately, this is the current wage compensation plan that the city uses. We are undergoing a new study done by the Collins Center, which will hopefully update all of these salaries. However, the one that is currently adopted by City Council is the Behringer scale, which was used here.
Thank you. Director Armano, since it sounds like you're in agreement that basically all employees work under the general direction of the mayor, is it okay to strike that from the language?
Yeah. Hi, good evening. Octavian Spanner, Senior Advisor to Mayor DePena. The answer is no. The reason why, and as you know, the mayor is, like you said, is responsible for all staff, all employees. However, as Director Armano mentioned, there's going to be several responsibilities. I'll give you a good example. We're working on the Merrimack Valley Renewal Fund as well. There's a series of work that not all of the volunteers are going to be assigned only at under the responsibility or oversight at the inspectional services, but we are going to distribute them as well. And from my own experience working with this program, sometimes it even falls under HR, human resources. In this case, we thought it would be appropriate. That has been our recommendation to have the mayor or whoever he assigns to be delegating the responsibilities in terms of where the volunteers are mostly needed. So for now, we kindly request you to consider that because that's also part of the mayor's priority.
Mr. Spanner, it sounds like you're saying that this individual, the mayor would be directly supervising this individual.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So right now, what we have is that the mayor there's general supervision, what is currently written here.
Yeah,
So general supervision, like everyone is under the general supervision of the mayor. So so you're saying you'd like us to change this to direct direction of the mayor?
My question then would be, what would be the difference? I mean, if the mayor decides if tomorrow, any department, the mayor can decide, I want to supervise that specific, they need to report to my office, he has that prerogative.
So the difference would just be the rules are in place as far as how the departments are all being run. And how there's different, individuals that are director of departments that are probably, part of the mayor's kitchen cabinet whenever he has a meeting of directors. And those are the individuals that the mayor directly supervises. And, obviously, probably chief of staff supervises the individuals that are in the office. So there's some type of, table that you guys have with that. If this individual is under the direct supervision of the mayor, I think that's somewhat different than the general supervision of the mayor. It's two different things. So general supervision,
The purpose of this was, my apology.
Yeah, go ahead. No, sorry.
No, the purpose of this was for budgetary reasons, so that we can have the Department of Inspectional Services, this position fall under the inspectional services for budgetary reason, because AmeriCorps is not a position that's going to be funded maybe long-term. This is just a grant-funded position.
So, and we could table this and have further discussions, or we can move it forward, but it sounds like there's a difference between what you guys would like to do and what is currently written, because currently written is just general supervision, which means that under general supervision, the direct supervisor would be the director of inspectional services. So
We'll leave it the way it is, as it was proposed to you.
Okay, so mayor is not the supervisor of this position.
No, but we make recommendations in terms of, any programmatic. Correct. That's good.
Okay. So since this position is, all positions are under the general direction of the mayor, do we need language there?
Do we need that language? Is there, Counsel, if you wouldn't mind, what specific language were you requesting?
Just removing that.
Removing that language altogether, so that it would not read that there's a general...
I'm just trying to figure out, like, why, it doesn't seem like, it's either that this position is under direct supervision of the mayor, which is, it sounded like what you guys were inclined to do. Now I'm hearing not, so if it's under the general supervision, then
Yeah, and I'll defer to Special Advisor Spanner if he wants to add to this, but I think the idea is the mayor is not going to supervise directly in the sense that he's going to watch every move, but just give general direction based on the priorities of the city as.
Right, which
yeah.
it sounds like that's what the mayor does already.
Well, yes, but that's the reason why we want to include it. By excluding it, I mean, I'm trying to understand, Counselor, with or without it? I mean, if it has, it doesn't hurt. It's under his general directions anyway.
Yeah, no, so I guess the key thing is it's under, like every position in my mind is under the general direction of the mayor. When it's written down here, you know, some other mayor in the future could potentially say that this position, the way they would articulate the general direction would be more as a direct supervision of the mayor. Right, which to me are two different things. If this conversation was that this individual would be under direct supervision, then what I would say is that this sounds like there's a creation of a different office, because we are elevating an individual to it's a different position than somebody working within the Inspectional Service Department.
I would leave it up to the body to decide in this case, but for us, it's, in that case, it doesn't make, if it, no.
I mean, I can't make any motions.
Motion to send it with favor recommendation?
Second.
There's a motion to send us to, with favorable recommendation. It's been seconded by Councilor Infante. You know, personally, there's some changes that I would like to make, so I wouldn't be voting in favor of this. But we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, councils.
We move on to next item. We have, if we can take something out of order, if we can take item 150-22, hiring of new city attorney.
So move.
No, we can just do it.
Good evening, councilors.
Director LaGreca.
I'm here at your service to assist you in the hiring of the new city attorneys.
So yeah, so I think it would be important at this point for to give us a review of what's happened so far with the position, of where we're at, and what we need to do next.
Certainly. So at this point, the position, I came before you, we agreed upon the certain methods that I would advertise this position through, which were Indeed, the city website, as well as the municipal organization websites. We also advertised for this position in Mass Lawyers Weekly as agreed upon. At this point, I'm before you tonight with the list of candidates for you to consider. The next stages that I would recommend, so for this position, truthfully, there weren't many applicants. I think that you have a narrow pool of candidates from which to choose who are actually qualified for the job. So while typically I would recommend narrowing the candidate pool to those that you think would be finalists, I think in this position that has been done for you by the very nature of the position. There weren't many people that held the necessary qualifications, one of which is municipal experience in the past. So those who did apply, who are qualified for your consideration, it's a very narrow pool. I think you'll do well, though, with them.
Thank you. Can you talk to us about what was done to spread the word about this position?
Certainly. You had requested that I advertise it on Indeed, the city website, as well as the municipal law websites, and I also advertised in Mass Lawyers Weekly at the request of council.
Councilors, any questions? Councilor Levy.
When we are singing to like a
Councilor Levy, can you repeat your question? The volume wasn't up at the beginning.
Thank you. When do you think that maybe we can fill the position?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
When do you think that we can fill the position? How soon
So
we
it-
will be able to fill the position?
It would really be up to you as counselors to schedule the interviews and to select a candidate based on those interviews.
How many resumes do we have at this point?
You will have 2 resumes before you for qualified candidates for this position. Unfortunately, there were not many applicants for this position. Despite, truthfully, we spent thousands of dollars to advertise this position. It just did not draw in a large pool.
So beside those 2, are we gonna keep posting the position for sometimes?
If you would like to, you may. Given the need in that office, I would not recommend. I would recommend that you review the candidates who have expressed an interest in this position. I think your needs are too great to keep waiting, but it would be up to you as counselors if you would like to keep this position open.
I would like to keep it open until we fill the position.
Okay, counselors, anybody else have any questions? Director LaGreca, how much was spent?
So the posting in Lawyers Weekly itself was over $1,000. I believe it was $1,100. The city website is free. We have an account on Indeed, which is free. The municipal lawyers, as well as MMA websites, I believe were between $250 and $500. Those were the avenues that we'd agreed upon.
So I'll say I think I'm disappointed that we weren't able to get more people to apply. I wonder if the timeline was extended, if we would be able to get more. I also wonder, because the position is a very important position, and while I'm interested in filling it as quickly as possible, I also want to make sure that we have, when we're making our decisions as to who it should be, that we have a diverse pool of candidates that we can look at. And what I wonder is if we put more money into advertisement or hired a HR firm to help us do recruiting. So it's not just recruiting, just putting an ad out. It's actually having someone contact people and telling them about the position and doing like an HR sort of role that we can't really do at the within the city, if that would bring more qualified individuals for us to choose from.
I think you'd be doing a disservice to yourselves if you didn't at least review the candidates that are before you, because I think you might find that you are able to make a selection from those who have applied, who have expressed an interest, who have been reaching out to our office to see if any decision has been made. I think those are the types of people that you do want for the city versus the opposite, where we are chasing them. So I think at least my recommendation would be to at least consider them, and if you don't like what you see, then you can certainly keep it open. We can explore further avenues, but where there are 2 people that are willing, able to, and strongly desire to work for the city in this position, and the need is so great in that office, where you only have 1 attorney currently handling the needs of the entire city, I think I would really encourage you to at least review them before you reject them.
So I'm only one person. I would disagree with that, Director LaGreca. I'm a big believer that if we're going to start reviewing applicants, then we want to make sure that we are reviewing, that it's an equitable process, and that the applicant pool is both diverse in gender, in ethnicity, and all that. And I think the only way to do that is to start with a good group from the start. I think if we get to it and we are looking at 2, you mentioned 2 individuals, then we are automatically biased to those 2 individuals instead of waiting for more. It's not to say that these 2 individuals that we're talking about, we still haven't reviewed the resume. It could be that these, I think us saying that we are looking for more, right, to look at doesn't mean that we're saying that these individuals are not qualified. If we were to look at these 2 individuals and we say we want more, then we're essentially saying that these 2 individuals are are not qualified, or at least the thought would be that. Looking at those two individuals, it could be that whether or not they're qualified doesn't mean that there aren't other qualified individuals that could be part of the pool, that through questioning, we might be able to find who is the right fit for the city. But I'm the only, I'm one of many, so if counselors, I think the next step after we ask questions is either to essentially to make a motion if you are interested in pausing this and opening this up for more individuals, that could be a motion. If not, and you want to review these two individuals, then the motion would be to get into, to make a motion for executive session. Councilor Reyes?
Thank you, Councilor Chair. No, I would like to go with, but like you said, I'm only one person, but I think if for some reason we ask Director LaGreca to be in front of us and she's passing recommendation, I don't think we need to pause. I think we're ready to go. And like she said, if we don't like what we see, we still have plenty of time, or we can post it or do something different or drive a different avenue. I think, that with the great needs that we all know, the office they need, so I think we're ready to go.
We need a motion.
Motion to send it with favor recommendation?
Councilor Reyes, I would advise us not to do that. We should we haven't reviewed the applicant pool. We should get into executive session first and review who those individuals are first.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
There's a motion to go into executive session. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay. Yeah, so I think we're moving to executive session, so I'm going to ask everybody else to step out.
Take care.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much. Okay, we are now out of executive session. Are there any motions, Counselor?
Motion to send it to full council with committee report, as a committee report.
There's a motion that sends to the full council
Second.
as a committee report. It's been second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, it's unanimous. That sounds good. Moving on to the next item, item 176-22, review of city clerk applicants. Councilor Greca, as before, if you can just give us a rundown as what the process was.
Certainly. So in this case, we did have a much larger pool of applicants who were drawn to this position. So what we did was, as always, I send out a job posting to all city employees and put it up on the city website. It also went on the municipal government website as well as Indeed. And those are the methods that we had agreed upon prior.
Can you tell us, like, how many people applied?
The number has been constantly changing because many people have withdrawn. I can tell you, so the way under the administrative code that it works is the top 5 scoring applicants are the certified list. So if there are people that tie for those scores, they still make it onto that certified list. You will have 30 applicants to choose from who all tied for top 5 scores.
Thank you. Questions? All right, if there, Councilor Levy, are you making a motion for a question or no? Okay. If there's no questions, is there a motion to take us into executive session?
So move.
Second.
Motion for us to go into executive session has been second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We now move on to executive session again. Yep. Yes. Is there a motion to table?
Motion to table document 17622?
Motion's been tabled and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, the ayes have it. Councilors, is there any other item that you would like to take out of table matters? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
It's been made and it's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, the ayes have it. All right, good night, everybody.
I just